Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 27th, 2023 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the philosophies I personally use to guide the direction my own life is going. Now, before I go any further, we have Chad Smith coming through the door with the gold. And therefore, we slide down here and we find Chad Smith. And there we go. This is the link to Chad Smith's live stream. Absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, come right out and tell him. Okay, give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. Now, Nathan is in the house with the silver. So we find this. And this is the link to Nathan's show. Where are we? Copy. Okay. Oh, I didn't do that. Now, this is the link to Nathan's live stream. Okay. And again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up, and then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. That would be very much appreciated. Now, let's see. Stop that from rolling. And where are we here? Oh, look at that. We have Raven in with the bronze. And where are we? Raven is right there. And this is the link to Raven's show. So, absolutely. Drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, absolutely give her a thumbs up and then subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay, right after that, we have, let's see. Oh, my apologies, Joe. And I hate to do this to you as well, Raven. Joe came in with the bronze. Raven actually came in with the honorable mention. Okay. This is what I mean by I don't track all of them as well as I would like. But, let's see, who else we got here? Okay, now, I figured what the heck, we might as well get things started. Now, of course, this is an open run. Meaning whatever questions you have, whatever topic they're in, doesn't matter. Put them in the chat room. I will do my best to get to them. Now, I am honored there, Chad. Chad goes, I turned off Lord of the Rings to be here. I really do appreciate that because Lord knows I've watched that more often than I care to count. Yeah, last night was definitely a good night. Nathan, last night on your show was definitely a good night. We covered a lot of interesting ground. And I forgot to. I do that a lot, don't I? That's your first day? Holy mackerel. Let's see. You turned off Lord of the Rings. Okay. There's a lot. I'm not going to say a thing about what it is, but it's definitely well worth the watch. And what do we got here? We have Emmy is in the house. How you doing, Emmy? Hope your day has gone well. Things have been a little hectic as far as I go in. I'll just double check that. Gotta make sure I don't go drinking this cup of coffee. Bad idea. It's paint. Today is the 27th. So, got to bed last night at 1 o'clock in the morning. Was back up at 2:30. Went back to bed at 4:30. And then got up at 6:30. So, all in all, not a bad setup. Well, you are right there, Nathan. Nathan's going, spoiler alert, no Ewoks in Lord of the Rings, which there aren't. On the other hand, halflings are an interesting side, an interesting addition. Joe, I do appreciate that. I mean, it was an entertaining show and went sideways a number of times. But I tell you, Nathan, the biggest thing I noticed with it was when we had the technological problem, you had to deal with it, and yet everybody on the panel pitched in to just keep the panel going in its own way. Not necessarily the direction you were intending, but hey, we've got to do what we can. What did I do? I slipped my finger open. That's not fun. Angels, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, where are we? Somewhere up here or down there, I'm not sure which. There we are. Couldn't see it for looking at it. Whoop. And this here is linked to Angels Livecast. And again, drop in, give her a listen. If you like what she has to say, absolutely give her a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. The reality of it is you guys come here and share your time with me and support me in this way, in that fashion. Therefore, I feel it only right that I turn around and share the links to your guys' podcasts. Definitely not quite the way I was planning on going with my life, but hey, this is where it is. So now I'm really putting things in place as best I can. And where are we? I need the other light on, or more to the point, to require it on. So you come all the way over here. Now we can actually see. Oh, by the way, where the Hey Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, there are times when videos just are annoying. Some really can be. But I've got a lot of things on the go, but it's really time to start pushing the limits, if you will. So I've got, what do I got here? Go to there. And I've got to go to that. All kinds of things there. So we scroll down here and we see what we've got in the way of. Oh, keep going to the wrong address, the wrong email. Do not tell me that. Hit the wrong button, apparently. Okay, just about screwed that up. But where are we here? Right there. Okay, now scroll that down. Oh, today my blood pressure has been doing fine, Philip. Every now and again, things get really completely screwed up. Now, Phil, where are we? Chad, I have the screen that I'm talking into, which I keep getting sidetracked from. I can't read the comments over here. I can't read them well. I wonder if changing glasses might help. But I can't read the comments here. So I've got a second monitor right up here. This one is easier to read. And then I've got my spare one up here, the third one, where I keep all of my links up on, so I can just copy and paste them when I require them. You know, eventually I will end up with more screens. I just have to get a bigger computer to do it. But one step at a time. Football, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, the funny part about it, I've got the 3 electronic screens up there. But once I get that out of the way, once you deal with those, I've got a pad. I've got a sheet with my notepad here, which realistically for me means there's screen number 4. And then take those out of the way. And we grab this one, which is my desk. That's my desktop calendar. Screen number 5. Okay, needless to say, I keep myself a little on the busy side. Yes, Phelps, they really are. My biggest problem where it comes to tech, where it comes to screens, is I don't have enough actual physical screen space. So all 3 monitors are running all the time, and I do mean literally all the time. Now let's stop that from scrolling because I'm just going to screw things up if I don't. Okay. And yeah, Joe's just saying he was busy today doing a whole pile of cleaning. Right. Oh, bonus. I'm sure you have some really bizarre dreams there, Joe. I really do. But what I'm looking at this point is I brought something back here. Okay. We are going to take that. Grab my paint. And then we grab a little bit of this. It seems reasonable to me that if I'm going to do this, make it count. Ah, that was painful. So I figure, what the heck, I might just as well get some of this sorted out while I'm at it. And see what happens. Okay. And we scroll down just a little here. Oh, that's terrible. Now, that being said, though, let's go over here. Nope, not that one. I'm just looking for something over here, guys. There it is. See, the reality is, I don't exactly require a Beanie Baby. I mean, technically, I could go and get one, but I've already got my monitor lizard, and that's your fault for calling it that. But there you go, Philip. That's my little Beanie Baby. I mean, he's not Beanie. He's actually a stuffy. I lied. I was mistaken. I'm just looking at this here. He's called a Beanie Boos. And then, yeah, the Beanie Boos collection. You'll not see me in the park because my fur is really dark. So, this little guy, there's not many places I can put him, but I can, on the other hand. Now, where am I going to put him to get him out of the way? Yes, Boo, like Boo, a ghost. This is called a Beanie Boo. Okay, my son got this for me, I think, although I might be mistaken on that. And now I'm curious, so I'll be right back. Okay, yeah, I just figured I'd go and check. And yeah, my son actually said the same thing. He's pretty certain that, well, he knows he gave it to me. We just don't know what year. You know, now I just got to figure out where to put the poor little thing. And right about there will work fine. See, I've got a shelf right above this monitor that he can sit on without any real big problem. But there you have it. We have a beanie. Okay. Now let's just take a look at this. Don't ask me. It's, I get some of the weirdest things showing up in my house. Now, I have toothpicks around here, so I can deal with that. And we have Joe. That really doesn't sound that off. Joseph's going, this is going to sound off, but the dreams I have about women or married women in them are the best. The reality of it is this. If you're dreaming about women, okay, if they're consenting, I definitely recommend not having them married if things get carried away. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with actually having dreams about other people. It's just a question of how you're treating them, even in the dreams. That's one of the things that we have to look at here. Is your life actually doing? Is it emulating what you're striving to do, or is it taking a rather dark turn? And that becomes something you got to look at. And it's certainly not something that I can lay claim that I can judge one way or the other. But I will tell you there, Joe, on a perennial, from my standpoint, you got to wonder. You say it's weird dreaming about women. But let me ask you this. Would it seem more normal if you were dreaming about men? From my standpoint, I don't care for other people. I don't care what other people think. Myself, though, no, definitely would rather be dreaming about women. That's just me. No, mind you, in my case, I'm very particular about that. There's only one I really like dreaming about at this point. So all I'm doing here is this is sort of one of those figures. It's going to be bits and pieces to get it done. But it makes for an interesting change. I figured, what the heck, I might just well get some of this done. Oh, you mean he had no? It's funny. My brother used to actually look very similar to Gandalf, if Gandalf happened to ride a motorcycle. But I don't have a problem with the wizard showing up at my doorstep. On my doorstep. I figure, what the heck, they're just other people with different skills. So I look at it this way: if they want to show you, they want to come to my doorstep, they're more than welcome to it. And maybe we'll learn something from each other. I'm looking at that, what I'm doing here, because this is a fire elemental I'm working on, but I don't have to worry too terribly much about should have brought the red with me. So I'll have to at some point get it, but maybe not tonight. Because right now, this is just a question of painting the bits and pieces of the figure and see what comes out of it. Now I will tell you, the show last night, it was really fun when we were on Nathan's show. A lot of interesting things were going on. There was some different activity in the chat room, but everybody's chat room is a little different. Like I watched this chat room and I noticed that there is a staggering amount of support between people here. Speaking of support, I just checked the fire notices today, and they are shipping people back in droves at this point to their own homes. It's actually, things are starting to feel like they're mellowing out a little. But we'll have to see how that all transpires. But absolutely, a phenomenal hats off to the first responders, to the firefighters, the emergency personnel, when we take a look at the military that stepped up to the plate, when we take a look at the police that are still trying to keep things running smoothly, and amazingly enough, our postal service, such as it is still getting the mail delivered. I keep telling them, quit bringing me the bills, I'll be happy. But for some reason, they keep missing that little point. But things are moving a lot more smoothly this time than they did the last time. We've got a couple of hotspots that won't go away for a while. Not the least of which is our dump. The place that the Lone Ranger runs off to. Now, I'm not entirely certain how often he goes, but I do know that every time you watch him, he's going to the dump, to the dump, to the dump, dump, dump. So apparently he makes a lot of trips out there. But what I'm doing here is just a little bit of work on the just a little bit of spot work to break it up and to break this fire elemental up and modify the ground a little. But no, when we were on the show last night, we were covering all over the place. Will I go back on it? Certainly. Assuming, of course, the door's open. Well, here's a neat little thing there, Philip. Where it comes to meeting up with people on UFOs, I've run into that before, and what happens on occasion is you meet somebody from another part of the world, and then you end up tracking each other down, and then it becomes a really bizarre setup. Because then you start realizing that this whole idea of abductions is not just a figment of your imagination. It's one of these things that you really have to figure out how you're going to work with. And yeah, as you can see, when I'm doing this kind of tedious work, it's a royal pain on occasion, but it does work. So we'll just put him aside for a little bit. And take that. That can sit there because they don't really require it. Let's see what we got going on here. Now, again, remember, guys, if you have a question, even if it's not on the topic we're talking about, come right out and pop it into the chat room, preferably in all caps. Okay, that way I can find the thing. If not all caps, at least partial caps. Or, at the very least, put a wavy hand in there so I can find it. Okay, now, let's just slide up a little here. Okay. Oops. Yeah, Philip, if you're going to watch a show like that, that can really screw things up on occasion. Yeah, dreaming about bloated zombies coming out and climbing up out of the water. I will tell you this. A lot of dreams have meaning. One like that is clearly a carryover from the movie. What do we got here? Yeah. Joe's going, me having a dream about about a guy, me and my dad gonna have an interesting talk. Yeah, no doubt. And I'm not entirely certain you're gonna be overly happy about it, but oh, okay. I understand that, Nathan. And I do appreciate that. To say the least, my schedule gets a little screwy on occasion. Where, that one, this one. Nope, that was wrong. What, pray tell, did I do with it? Well, that annoys me. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to come back in a minute. Of course, I set the Atten up to bring down with me, and now they've gone for a walk. Well, this is what we get for having open line. Okay, what do we got here? Yeah, keep your eyes open. On the plus side, there, Philip. Now, do understand, depending on who she is, she may well be on the other side of the world. Okay, but with you keeping if she's interested in meeting you as well, one of the things that the trackers that they put in people do is will recognize that kind of attachment. Christy Ambles, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I wish I could keep things organized on occasion, but that doesn't seem to be the way it works. Okay, those guys are there. Oh, doorknob. The guy I was looking for was this one. So we grab just a little. There we are. Nope, not that one. That one's already toast. There we are. I don't know. Did I bring silver down? Silver. I did so that works out well. Which means I can make some pretty decent headway on this. But yeah, feeling a lot better than I was yesterday. But I will tell you, it's weird where it comes to my sleep pattern. I'm getting 2.5, 3 hours a night between midnight and midnight. I'm getting 2.5 to 3 hours a day. Which is working well for me. I agree with you there, Philip. It's amazing how many people get a little confused, but that's okay. Yeah. Now I will tell you, there is this neat little problem with people getting really sidetracked in incidentals. I made a mistake when I was younger, and I didn't put the patches together with mom and dad. We had a little bit of a disagreement. I never made the functional effort to really straighten out before they passed away. And I'm telling you, it's one of the few things I've regretted in life. It's absolutely one of the problems. But whatever you do, if you can put your past to rest, if you can bring yourself to really go, I'm not dealing with it anymore, I'm not hanging on to the negative past, you'll find you make a lot better way. I mean, one of these days I'll figure out how to slow down, but I'm not really putting a lot of effort into it. So right now, this is just a question of making certain that I get the figures painted, get them dealt with, so that I can actually tie some of these ones off. As you can see, this doesn't take a lot of work, a lot of concentration, because this is just big areas. It's when I get to the smaller ones it gets complicated. But I figure it's about time to start tying things off. Now, what do we got going on? That's rolling a lot. Yeah, see, the funny thing there, Philip, I figured it out a long time ago. I got bored one day, so I did a little bit of a calculation. And I figured, okay, people keep talking about requiring 8 hours of sleep a night. And the first thing that always struck my head at that point was, well, if you're sleeping 8 hours, you're sleeping a full third of your life away. Now, to me, this seemed a little bit overdone, especially since I usually found, even at that time, that if I got more than 6, I was actually groggier than if I didn't, than if I got less than it. And now what I'm looking at, so I went, okay, what happens if you cut your hours to 4 hours a night? And you don't lose quality of life, and you don't lose your health, which, by the way, is still your quality of life. Okay, what are you actually accomplishing? Well, when I worked it out, I decided, okay, let's see what happens at 4 hours a night. I had no intention on bringing my sleep down to that. It just kind of worked out that way, because I went, okay, what happens if that's what you do? And when I did the calculation, don't take my word for it. Come right out and do your own calculation. Okay, I discovered that if you're doing that, you're going to gain approximately a month and a half living time by the end of the year, in just 1 year. Now, I will tell you, if you're gaining a month and a half living time, you're getting an awful lot more accomplished than you were. This is one of the reasons why I can sit here and I can rack off another couple of figures. Now, I don't know if this will be done today. Okay, it's just a question of getting it dealt with the way I desire it to be. But you gotta pick the goals that you're aiming for. And you gotta work within your own limits. That is one of the biggest things you gotta realize. Or at least that it would be wise to realize. So, take this little chap here. Now, I don't actually have this particular one doesn't actually have a place in the storylines yet. Okay, this is just a question of, it was a figure I had and I wanted to get it tied off, which is what that worked well, not, which is what we're working on right here. Not impressed with that maneuver. There it is. There we go. Now, what do we got popping up here? No, this one is out of D&D. This is literally just one of the larger atoms. Okay, it's just I'm working to get him finished today, So I figured I'd bring them down. He's only one of many. But, do I have one? Not in here. See, my son has a walker, one of the AT-ATs from Star. Yeah. Well, that's why I call them an Etten. Okay, because they have two heads. I've got a smaller version now. They are called an Etten, Ettin, also known as a two-headed giant. Now, this particular Etten is literally the one that I've got attacking Casey's Bar and Grill in Return to Paradise. This literal chap is what comes into the house or into the yard. Now, do I have? I don't think I do. Nope. And since I didn't bring any with me, as you can tell, I'm going to be getting up and down a fair chunk here. Now, that'd be just absolutely trippy there, Emmy. You know, really would. Okay. Now, okay, we've misplaced something here. But before I sort it out, give me 2 seconds. Okay. As we can tell, this is going to be a different day. I'm going to have to try and figure out if I can ever get coordinated with things. Thus far, it hasn't worked out that well. But reason I went and got this is because it was easier to do. Now, this particular and this is literally the figure that I'm using to do the writing for the battle that's going on. Okay. Remember I mentioned I was looking at potentially getting into and doing dioramas? Now, this is a standard sized human. This is what walks into the compound. And it's literally these weapons, this character itself is what I'm using simply to represent that particular scene. Now, I noticed an odd question here. Okay, Philip, first and foremost, we're not talking about a prison. We are talking about a bar. You got to remember, with Casey's Bar and Grill in the Yldrbac Chronicles, this is a very rough and tumble bar with all kinds of people in it. But this little chap is one of several problem children actually attacking the bar at one point. So I take the figures to lay them out to make sure I've got the choreography when I'm writing the combat scene out. So you got him at that height. And then picture. Now, this is where we have that neat little thing about people going, Well, why don't the off-worlders or why don't the ancient races show themselves? Can you picture something that size walking down the street? Okay, this is what they're up against. So I'm just looking at this, and that's got to be sorted out a bit, but that's okay. But I figured I'd go and grab that because it was kind of necessary. Now, well, I kind of, let's see. Now, understand this whole storyline takes place after the fall of mankind. Okay, now some of these creatures and some of these guys you'll find in the earlier books because of the fact that we are talking about an entire saga that runs from the beginning of creation all the way to the fall of mankind and the reemergence of all the races coming back in what is literally called a return to paradise. Now, what have we got here? Sure, pop that like a joint because that's always fun. And this little chap. Take that and pop him in the water. I figured I've been putting things off and I really do have to get this all sorted out. So I figured, what the heck? Why don't we turn around and see what we can do about putting things back in track and making this world a better world. Okay. Never even thought about that, Philip. Yeah, I've never looked at that side of it, which is really odd. Now, what do we got going on here? See, I look at the way I was told the other day. Somebody made a comment in my on my YouTube channel. I forget what the word was, but when I looked it up, it literally boiled down to they said, "Oh, this is self-promotion." If you're going on video, if you're going on YouTube, you are talking about self-promotion. Now, I've hidden from the world for the massive majority of my life. And now it's just come to a point where I have to look at things and go, I'm changing the way my world is working. And with a little bit of luck, I'll change the way your world is working as well. But only by actually pointing you in the direction, in a direction that I know can work if you put the tools together, if you put the tools to use. I cannot make you actually do it. That may not be 100% accurate, but I'm not interested in it. So, take a look at this. And again, we've got just these little bits and pieces that I'm just striving to get tied together. Just finishing off the bits and pieces. And rest assured, by no means am I perfect. I'm looking at this going, I'll do the best I can to make it look right. But am I expecting it to be incredible? No. But see, in the Yldrbac Chronicles, this little munchkin is called a trembler. Okay, the reason they call him a trembler, just for your edification, is when he walks, the ground trembles. Okay, that was all I had on him I had to deal with. Not that one. And do I want to do that now? So let me ask you guys, the ground here, like down here on the ground, do we want to do that in a light green, a dark green, or just a dusty tan, as in dry ground? What's your suggestion? The critter itself is already laid out pretty solidly as far as that goes. So I'll wait for a little bit of response time on that one. This one, on the other hand, is easy. Because we take this, that's flesh tone, so I don't even worry about that. But no, this is literally just a question of taking these figures, getting some of them tied off. Because, I mean, let's face it, I've got in excess of 500 of these. But what I'm now doing is looking for the ones that not only represent the characters in the story, but represent the different races I'm dealing with. So I kind of have to be and take liberties with some of it. You know, I sort of have to look at it and go, okay, what am I going to work with? What is going to be acceptable to me? You know, it's not something that has to be acceptable to anybody else, in case you haven't figured it out. Where are we here? Susan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, and he goes, two heads, and they each had a different color of bright hair, made by Onita. Oh, that's those funny little trolls. Yeah, I mean, some of the things that people create are just phenomenal. You know, Joe, the answer is yes. There's a couple of things I've got to do. It's like Joe's just asking, will you get paid money by YouTube if one were to start and create their own live stream videos? The answer is yes. There are some qualifiers around it. I've got to get on making short videos, which I undoubtedly will start doing tonight. Okay, that I can upload. They won't be 2 hours, they'll be a lot shorter. People have suggested that I do my best to get onto 1 minute videos, and I just don't seem to be able to get there. Like, it's always over the 1 minute. But down to 5 or 10 minutes, that I can do without any real problem. But they do have some very definite qualifiers. So if you're planning on starting your own YouTube channel, very important that you pick a topic that you are personally content with and really holds your attention. It doesn't have to hold everybody else's. But if you're going to do it, make certain that you do take a few things into consideration. First, always talk about something that you feel you know what you're dealing with. Two, do not let other people dictate except for the host station, such as YouTube, that says this is what you're allowed to do, this is what you're not. You know, again, it boils down to that funny little thing I keep talking to you guys about, where it comes to, you know, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you, which literally means if you're going to work in the YouTube venue, you got to remember they've got rules, and those are the rules you have to worry about. Because if you don't follow those rules, you can bet they will shut you down. Where are we here? Oh, is that what it is, Nathan? You know, I gave up on the idea of trying to do a minute show. I figure, scrap it. If I get in under 10, I've done well. But there are some ideas that have come up that may make that part possible. You know, for me, it boils down to this. I will simply get onto a topic that I like. One of the reasons that the 2 hour works is because what it does is it gives me a solid run, and it means that if people do have a question, that I'm absolutely able to do something with it. Because the reality of it is, this is pretty much how I figured out how to socialize. Okay, is by turning around and going, okay, this is what I'm working with, and therefore, this is the way I see it. Now, I will tell you, I've watched some people, they will use a username that completely belies their outlook. And, for me, I use a username. It's my name. It doesn't really belie anything because that's who I am. But no, there are some people I've run into that it's just, I look at them going, why are you even bothering? Like, is this actually doing anything for you? And I'll tell you, that's not doing much for me. Put him down so he can dry. What do we got here? Pop that in there. Now, put the glasses back on. That way I can see that far. What do we got here? Honestly, Philip, never been to Scotland. Okay, but I can tell you that is on one of those things I do desire to do. Especially, and I'll be looking at it seriously when my other half gets up here. My clan, like my clan was the Andrews clan, or an offshoot of the Ross clan from up in the Highlands. Okay, and the funny thing about it is, from my understanding, when my brother researched our history, turns out that that little sword at the bottom of the English flag, of the British flag, that little sword apparently is the claymore of the Andrews clan. And the funny thing about it is, I was talking to another Scotsman one day, and it still stands in England because my last name is Andrews. I am not actually permitted in England to own a claymore. Okay, the old Knight's Killer sword, because it was our clan that refused to back down in the war. We refused to be conquered, which is why, from what I gather, Scotland was only, and my information may be wrong. If somebody knows better, let me know. But my understanding is that when the Andrews clan dug their heels in, the British couldn't dislodge them. Net result, Scotland never ended up being listed as conquered. It was occupied by the British. And yes, Philip, I am out of the Highlander clans. Okay, it was funny. The one Scotsman I was talking to, when I told him where I was from, he goes, "Laddie," he says, "that's not the Highlands, laddie. That's fucking Norbit." I'm like, okay, I can work with it. But apparently we came from way up in the hills. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So the reality is, we go back to the clans, and I remember the clan wars. The clan wars were something absolutely bizarre, because nobody seemed to think that they were going to be able to, seemed to think that the clans could be united. That was proven wrong. Now, Scotland is not a mixture of a bunch of clans. It is a whole mixture of a very, very vibrant people. Okay, with a lot of cultural pride, a lot of heritage. And it's one of these things that you really ought to be proud of. Where am I? Grab these little guys here. And then see what we got. I don't think I finished the other one, did I? Yep. Nope. But let's pop that down there. And Let's see if I can find a brush with a small head. Well, that was garbage. How about this one? That'll work. Yeah, that didn't. By the way, gravity works really well, but my aim is absolute garbage. So we take a look at this and see if we can get a little bit more of the paintwork, of the flesh tone done. And again, this really boils down to just putting another coat on so that it looks right in my eyes. But no, I came out of like my whole family, our heritage is the Scottish Highlands. But apparently we wouldn't let go. So net result, the British listed Scotland as occupied, not conquered. But that was my ancestors' fault. Apparently we were a little too stubborn and stuck in our own way. We didn't have any interest in it, in giving up. That seems to be, quite frankly, the same problem we still have to this day. My whole family is a little on the stubborn side. But now what I'm aiming at doing at this point is making certain that I turn around and give you guys as much of an upper chance of an upper hand as I can get away with by simply showing you how I have changed things. Doesn't mean it's the only way. Only that it's the only way I use. Well, actually, that's not true. It's just the most effective way that I've used. Pop that there. And let's see, because somebody wrote something here, which is great. Yeah, that's a little too much snow from my standpoint. I really wish I could grow a plant, but the reality is I've tried growing a lot, and I did find out that I can actually kill an air plant in under 3 days. Do not ask me how I managed to do that. Oh, that's going to take a little bit of work. He gets flesh tone. This one, let's see if we're dry enough to work with. And again, we pop this in. Oh, heavens. Football, the answer is yes. My last lifetime, I was American. Okay, I spent my last lifetime from 1898 to 1956 working out of Chicago, Illinois. And from 17, let's see, I'm just trying to think here, 28. So we go back 28. I died 5 years later in 33. So 28, making it 1792 until 1833. I lived in Northern Ireland. I'm not sure the year that I did it, but at one point I lived down in the heart of Africa. I haven't pinned down exactly where that is, but I've got some very distinct memories from there. So yeah, I have definitely been other nationalities. Okay. I did spend a lot of time. Well, let's face it, I spent almost 400 years in Italy, specifically in and around Rome, as well as during the whole mess in Pompeii. I was actually a member of I was actually a citizen of Pompeii. Okay, I also spent a lifetime in Greece and literally living in Manoa. Sad part is both Pompeii and Manoa, they both got wiped out, and I ended up managing to survive it. Now, let me think here. I spent, well, heck, I spent a lifetime as a Hun, specifically riding with Attila. I was not Attila the Hun. Okay, I simply rode with him. Quite honestly, it was against my wishes. But since he wiped out my whole family and kidnapped me when I was 10 years old, I didn't have a lot of say in the matter. Okay. Now, what do we got here? Football. Do I love Italian food? I wouldn't say love is the right word for it, but do I enjoy it? Certainly. Okay. I certainly enjoy Greek food. Okay. I don't even know if I've ever been to the Olive Garden. Okay. This is what's called a severe case of vertigo. I do not like when that happens. In case you hadn't noticed, because it completely throws my game plan off. And I will tell you, if that's doing what I think it's doing, that's not going to make me happy at all. Oh, heavens no, it's definitely not the fumes. These are just about fumeless. Besides that, I've got a fan running beside me. No, I have a tendency of suffering spontaneous vertigo anyway. It's just if it gets out of hand, then I have to deal with it. Right now, we're okay. I figure I'll push my limits, and maybe one of these days, maybe one of these days I'll just drop dead while I'm online, and then you guys will know, yep, that didn't work that well. But all kidding aside, I'm not looking at dying anytime soon. It gets to be a little bit annoying when your blood pressure does weird things. In this case, I doubt very much it's got anything to do with my blood pressure, so much as just simply with the temperature. And my world does that quite regularly. But as you can see, I'm looking at this going, okay, let's see what we can do about making this really work well. Well, that was a little bit of an annoyance, but what the heck? As you can see, this is just a question of a pretty solid overcoat. Now, what, pray tell, is a Britney Spears welfare check? To say the least, yeah, the old, I didn't actually watch the movie Vertigo, but I will tell you the old Alfred Hitchcock movies, I thoroughly enjoyed when I used to listen to them. And again, it really boils down to simply they did a lot more on the creative side. Now they've got synthesizers and all that to do special effects with. When I was growing up, all of the special effects were done with regular household regular household items. Things like, for instance, you'd go to make a sound of a door creaking open. You either use a real creaking door, or you take a canning jar and slowly unscrew the top. Net result, it sounded very much like something in the grinding open. Great for coffins too, by the way. And this is just what I'm doing here is just another one of those funny little things I talk about. When you're writing, okay, involve as many senses as you can. So I came to the conclusion that I was going to paint the figures I require and see if that works to bring a little bit more realism to it. Thus far, it seems to be working quite well. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that turning out with a little bit more of a kick than the other did? Okay, where are we here? Oh. I don't know if it's illegal, but I do know that health checks are quite regularly used. Where are we here? Well, Groucho, Philip is just saying, Groucho Marx had a joke about how almost all of the footsteps on the radio sounded like people banging blocks and quite blocks together. And quite honestly, it was actually a lot of the time that's what they did. Okay, because they had to watch the film and then they had to time the steps with the blocks. Now you can picture how much fun that was when they were trying to time it with somebody running. Running really quickly and then stopping and going a different direction. That's where real talent in special effects came in. Now, people are doing this, they're using computers to make the special effects. I mean, literally telling a computer, make the special effect. To me, this is not the same level of artwork. Yeah, and that's just it. It's really not a bad thing to have somebody worried about you. Whether it's a fan or just a regular Joe, doesn't matter. If somebody's checking up on you to see if you're healthy, do your best not to get mad. But I will tell you, if people start going, oh, you got to get on this medication, you got to get on that medication, because this is what the doctors say work. I will tell you, I'm not going on medication. Doctors aren't happy with me about it. But the reality is, I know what my system's doing. And I compensate for it as best as I can. Oddly enough, Philip, you're absolutely right. And I'd have never functionally survived in the old world like that. Okay. Because the reality is, when I was younger, I was afraid of horses. Didn't work well as far as that went. Now, what do we got here? I think this is. Yep. As you can see, we are making decent headway here. Yeah, I'm working on several different figures at the same time. Now, the neat part here, this little monster, and I don't think I'm gonna just double check. I don't think I've got a name for him yet. Give me half a second. This fine little critter. Okay. Let's call up the other one. Move that out of my way. And let's open up book 12. just looking for what I'm dealing with, for what that critter is. This little monster, okay, I've got him designed as far as that goes, I gotta go in and make a modification. But this little thing, and again, you take a look at him, this is what's coming out of the ground. Now, where, pray tell, did I put it? Just being careful not to turn my head too quick because that seems to trigger the vertigo. Not something I'm looking forward to. Hey, do I got a dwarf in here? Nope. And since I don't have a dwarf, okay, we take this one. Again, this little monster, this is what's coming up out of the ground. Now here you have, this is actually an orc. Whoop. This is actually an orc, a little bigger than humans. Okay, but look at the size of him compared to what they're up against. Okay, now you can picture how this is not going to go well. But this little critter is something, I haven't come up with a name for it yet. But this, again, is one of the primary combatants they're going to have to deal with. You know, so I mean, I'm looking at this going, this is, what I'm doing here is just working on a bunch of little projects I've got to do with regards to my current writing. But let's get back to that. There we go. Oh, that I can certainly do there, Susan. Just had to get things rearranged. Okay. Get you out of the way. Get you out of the way. This is one of the critters that is actually being fought by the wolf pack, actually by everybody at the in cases when everything goes to heck in a handbasket. But that's the critter. I haven't finished dealing with it, but you'll notice that, it's very black, just the brown. But here's the thing. What you don't see here is on the bottom end here. Here we go. On the bottom end of the neck here. All the way down here is armor plating. Okay. And then, of course, the chest itself on this thing, you look at the chest here, underneath the fur, that's a solid rib cage. Now, this all gets laid out in detail in the story during the fight. But hopefully you can see that well enough. And as you can see, not a nice guy. The other thing you got to remember is take a look at the size of his hand. Okay. Look at how big that hand is on this guy, on this poor guy. This is what we're looking at. Yeah, that didn't work well. But this is what I mean by I take these figures to make them fit a little bit more effectively. Where are we here? Oh, that ain't gonna work. Let's see. I absolutely agree with you, Philip. But I will tell you, when you get something like this, now this is where that whole idea of letting your imagination go. Okay, this thing is definitely not a pleasant thing to deal with. But Joe just going, I know they have a dangerous side. They have dangerous side effects. And they may or will do harm to my teeth. But I still take ibuprofen 600 for my bad back. I think I talked to you about this before, Joe. What is it called? Oh, there's another medication that I take in tandem with the ibuprofen. Okay, which is methylcarbamol. No, no. In all fairness, Philip, these I bought straight from a company in town. Okay, where they get them from. Best I can tell you is I know they have some. They come from this company. Some of them are from Magic the Gathering, the card. Some of them these are, let's see, Deep Cuts Pathfinder Battles. And then this one is D&D figures. Okay, so this is what I work with. Now I'm looking at this, Philip, and you're going, I heard a television commercial telling me to ask my doctor about prescription with side effects, including sudden death. Oh, come on, sudden death is a lot easier to deal with than you might think. But when we're dealing with medication, absolutely, whatever medication you're on, do not look it up on the internet. Go to a pharmacist in person, hand them the medication, along with any other medication you happen to have, and hand it to them and ask them point blank, what are the side effects between these? Yeah, I'm drinking coffee, but that's okay. I've only had a pot of it today, I think. You know, the reality is I'm not drinking strong coffee. You know, I just gave up on the strong coffee because I didn't like the flavor that strong. So as you can well imagine, I don't go to Starbucks. Because I'll tell you, to me, that's kind of like drinking battery acid. And yes, for those of you that are going to go there, I have actually ended up tasting battery acid when I was a lot younger and quite honestly by accident. Honestly, football, my kids don't touch coffee much at all. Once in a blue moon they may, but on the whole they don't touch it. My eldest is actually a tea drinker. You know, so I mean, from his standpoint, he leaves the coffee alone for the most part. Now, of course, my youngest has the other really dangerous idea. You know, my youngest drinks and usually drinks monster drinks or energy drinks, that sort of thing. Not a real bright idea, but he's not dead yet. You know, you got to remember where it comes to my coffee, most people, when they make a 12-cup pot, they put 3 to 4 tablespoons of coffee in. I put one. That's it. Honestly, football, most of the people I talk to, they drink coffee. They don't drink tea. As a national average, I have no way of telling you. You know, I have no way of knowing which ones drink more coffee or more tea. Seems to be coffee and alcohol. Yeah, see, I don't pray I like iced tea sometimes. You know, I will tell you this. When I was down there a number of years ago, I did for the first time in my life get to try sarsaparilla. That I thoroughly enjoyed. But I'm still, I'm supposed to be, I was hoping to go down to Texas this month in October. It's looking less likely. But we'll find out how that goes. World, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Where are we here? Well, guys, World is in the house. And therefore, if you'd be kind enough to drop in on his stream one day, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Um, No, not sassafras. I actually never came across with Philip. But no, it was sarsaparilla that I tried. Henry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Are we really that far along already? That's amazing. Now, what do we got here? Let's take a peek. Again, these are some of the new figures I ended up picking up. But I picked them up with a very specific reason in mind. So let's see if I grab the right ones. What do we got going on here? Pop that down there. A couple of stands. Whoop. Elf Fighter, Elf Cleric. What do we got? Just trying to see if this is okay. This is one of the new ones I just picked up. Don't know what I'm going to do with him, but there you have it. Okay, because people have asked, like, I didn't have enough figures to paint, so yeah, I figured what the heck. And here we have another one. Okay, these are two elves, and I'll figure out how to deal with them. Yo, I'm looking at this, going, this guy just may work even better. Where's the other one? I've got another character I was doing, but I like this guy much better, especially where it comes to the stance on him. Okay. Does he have? No. You know, especially where the stance of this guy is, I like the way he looks as the primary antagonist. I was working on a different figure, but I do believe I'm going to shift gears on him. Okay. You can't see the hood, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. But he's got so much more detail, right, that this guy will work really well for my primary antagonist. And then we take this, throw that down there. Again, it really boils down to this. The more you can drag when you're writing, the more you can drag, that you can involve all your senses. By the way, when I'm talking about writing a story, I also talk about mind building an empire. Well, here's the thing. An empire is just a story being written in real life. That's all it is. If you're building yourself a business, if you're building a home, okay, it is just building a story in real life. Now, this character here, you know, he can actually work reasonably well for the primary protagonist in the earlier years. You know, definitely can. And again, this is who I'm looking at here. Okay. I'm pretty certain. I've just got to double check to make certain and make absolutely sure of it. But that is probably the one I'll be using for the protagonist. This is just another figure in another one of the same figure in a different pattern. So these are all characters I've decided I was picking up. Let's see, what do we got going on here? No, he is not a werewolf. I do have werewolves, but that one is just a straight. That one's listed, I think, as a barbarian. No, yeah. Yeah, he is simply listed as a human barbarian. But the the configuration of him is great. Okay, pop that down there. Of course I do that, you doorknob. Those are human barbarians, and what is this? Those are more barbarians. As you can tell, thing you gotta remember about barbarians, we take civilization, we wipe it out, and what you've got is a whole pile of people that are behaving like barbarians. Now, this particular package, I picked these up because of this. I didn't mind the figure, didn't have a real big use for it, not specifically yet. Right. So that one, normally these things come in packages of 2. Okay. So we got the second character here, and like I said, didn't have a lot of use for it at the time. But I figured, what the heck? And then this was literally dropped in the back of it. And as you can see, I ended up with a third figure for nothing. Okay. It was a bonus purchase. But those are some of the newer figures I'm working on. Okay. When I get done here, I am going to turn around and get a couple of things popped off. Oh, there we are. What do we got here? Oh. Where are we here? Philip's going, I wonder what would happen if you put on a fur coat made from werewolf fur. Would you and the wolf merge? The answer there is, in all fairness, no. And here's why. Okay, first and foremost, if you're using the fur of the werewolf is already dead. In order for any sort of a merge to take place, both parties have to be alive to start with. Okay, that'd be the biggest issue. Now, and by the way, I did have a character that used to have an entire wardrobe made out of werewolves. Of course, he had a wish. He was 9th or 10th level at the time, but he had a ring with one wish left on it. So he's traveling along, and these 11 werewolves attacked him under the full moon. He turns around. Oh, world, absolutely have a great show. Guys, like I said, drop in on World Show, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. He's got some phenomenal footage that I've seen a couple of times. Okay. You have a great night there, world. So I had these 11 werewolves attacking. They all swarmed me under a full moon. Well, I had a ring of wishes with me. So I literally turned around and went, I wish every one of these werewolves, the joints of every one of these werewolves, seized completely. Well, the wish went off with a bang without a hitch. Every one of them froze solid. They didn't die, but they froze solid. Okay, as in their bones all seized. Then I'm going to walk away, and the drow character that was traveling with me, I never thought about it. I looked at him and I said, I really would like those hides. And the drow wanders off. About 2 hours later, we're driving down there. We're going down the road. We're on our wagon and underway again. And it dawned on me, and I looked at the drow and I went, did you happen to kill those werewolves? And the drow looks at me and goes, oh, I forgot. Right. Where we got here? Here he goes. Go in the forest with a fur coat. You and a bullet might merge. Well, that is quite possible. And I recommend not wearing a fur coat in the middle of hunting season. This isn't likely to end well. Now, Henry, you asked a question. I really do hope that you're still there. But if not, you can catch it when you get back. When we're talking about opening the Merkaba energy, okay, the Merkaba energy, to be clear, starts with your third eye right here. Okay, now the gem you're looking for to accentuate that is a chevron amethyst. And no, I cannot show you a picture of it right now. Okay, but a chevron amethyst is the gemstone you want to be working with. Okay, now then you've got the Merkaba, which is this brow ridge. Okay, there's a point here at the temple, one here, whoop, center temple, and then there's two in between, right over top of the outsides of the eye. On the forehead though. That's your Merkaba band. Okay. That is also the band that is anchored to working with the Merkaba planet. Okay. Now, you concentrate on that and literally let your mind reach out. Let your mind take in whatever is happening around you. Do not worry about whether it makes sense just yet. Okay, because what you're looking at is opening up the reception of this energy to pull in everything around you so you can actually understand it. Now, something people don't realize, we all know that the optic nerve works where sight comes in through the front of the eyes. What most people are not aware of is if you go around to the back of your head, put your finger at the base of the skull, you'll feel a little divot in the skull. Okay. Yeah, Henry, the gemstones are just simply a bonus. Okay. Anybody can activate the Merkaba energy. And I'll give you a couple more tricks that you can use with it. But if you take your finger, go around the back of the skull, and right over the spine, you'll feel a little divot there. Okay. That spot is picking up optical information. Yeah, I realize it doesn't have an optical nerve, but that's okay. What do we got here? Okay. They won't hurt. I'm still working on the specific stones that we're looking for. But where it comes to here, okay, what you've got there, you said tiny citrine and some gray quartz. Gray quartz is also known as smoky quartz. And the smoky quartz is quite frankly an amplifier. Okay, but it's an amplifier that ironically enough brings clarity of thought. Now, if you're working with the quartz, just hold it in your hand. Because if you're holding the stones in your hand, you're still creating that three-way connection. Because you've got one stone in each hand, and then there's a line that draws from this hand straight to the third eye, and then straight from the third eye back to this hand, and then across. Okay, net result, you're looking at the creative energy jumping to a very specific, very high level. Okay, that is one of the things that we do have to take a look at. Yeah, Nathan's just going, I work with crystals, amazing things and processes. The neat part about it is crystals do work very well. I'm still missing my best healing crystal at this point. Yeah, I'm considering getting that, but for the moment, I'm not going to worry about it. My temperature is still running at a decent level. I'm just being maybe a little overcautious, but on the other hand, which would you rather? I stay overcautious or drop dead on sight? You know, when I get done this, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about here, when we start talking about crystals, about different configurations, okay, the crystals are amplifiers. They help focus the energy, they help focus your intent, but they are not required. You have the ability to enhance your own senses by simply concentrating on them. Now, let me see. Not going very far in all fairness. Of course, the thing I was looking for isn't sitting there, but you get used to that. One of these days, I think you're going to stop moving around my house, and I'm not even going to know what to do with them. Not there. Ah, there we are. Now, I've shown you guys this before. Okay. Sorry to say, this is a Russian deck. Well, I'm really not sorry to say. But this is a standard deck of playing cards. Okay. And one of the ways of enhancing the energy in your Merkaba is by turning around, and working with a deck of cards. Okay, what do we got here? I have no doubt about that. You want to see a really neat crystal? I'm not even certain. I think this is selenite. This one is an amplifier. I keep this one, and if you take a look at this, okay, part of the reason I hang on to this, other than the fact it's not there, other than the color of it, there is in the Yldrbac Chronicles. Okay, now you take a look at this. Oh, you can't see that, but here's the top of it. Let's take a look at the size. Okay, now this neat little thing when we're talking about energy, about dioramas. Okay, like I said, this is a standard human. Now you take a look at that. So if we're looking at that, this tower would be 1, 2, 3. I am absolutely stunned. I've never actually measured this out before. Okay, this particular little stone here. Okay, I like the shape of it. That was why I picked it up. Now I believe this is selenite. But the thing I'm absolutely stunned about is this. Okay, you take this figure. Okay, where is the one I was looking at? This guy. Your primary protagonist. Now, I can't show you at the base because I can't balance the two at the same time. But, okay, we go 1, 2. That's one floor. 1, 2. That's the second floor. 1, 2 is a third. 1, 2. So we are looking this tower, which is very tight, as you can see. Not much room to walk around in. But you get down this top floor. What this does for me right here, right now, I've got to build the Tower of Del Mar. Now, something you got to understand about the Tower of Del Mar is the thing is absolutely black. And it's absolutely smooth. It is not like this. Okay. But the sizing is perfect. And now what I've got is I can take a look at this and go, okay, I take this top of it, and that top floor is turned into an absolute crystalline mass meant for drawing energy. Okay. Then I've got this tower. Where are we here? Honestly, Philip, I really don't know. I pick these up in shops when I come around them. So I end up getting them usually in BC here. Well, right in Kelowna. This little tower has just opened that whole door. I can design it perfectly for me. Okay. But you take the top, that will just be a solid crystal on the top. Okay, a solid crystal that can be used for a lot of different purposes. But you'll have to, I haven't decided on how all of that works. But this gives me a 40-foot tower, which is perfect sized for these figures. Okay, and this is what I mean by you include as many senses as you can get away with. And Nathan's going coffee time. Thank you so much, Susan. The energy coming off this thing, I kid you not, I've got my hand back. Like, I put my hand this far away, I can feel the energy pull between it off of this. Okay. And I've had it in my room for, well, probably for 15 years now. I was going back sideways here. Henry, take a deck of playing cards, just a standard deck. These ones are black, but you gotta remember, these ones are also Russian. Okay. And I got them back in probably sometime in the late 70s. Okay. But you shuffle them up as best you can. Okay. Don't bother looking at them. And then you draw one card off and do this away from you, not in front of a mirror. Okay. You pick a card up, face it away from you. And what you're starting with is deciding, and this is why I say a regular deck works well, because what you're looking for is whether this card, whether the suit is black or red. Okay. With standard cards, the cards, as you well know, are white. But you tell yourself what color it is and put it down in one pile. If you get it wrong, put it down in the other pile, in the second pile. If you get it right, you put it down in the first one. What you're looking for, because if you go on straight averages, you're looking at 50% of it will be right. No. These things, in all fairness, do not. Let me just see if I can find the Joker on it. I never even looked for it. I presume there's a reason for that question. I'm guessing it may be worth more money or something. I just don't care. What I'm looking for is just to see if I can find Joker, because that's the most likely one to have anything on it. And of course, it wouldn't have Joker. But no, Philip, these don't seem to have any label on them at all. From my standpoint, again, these I think I picked up in Vancouver. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I don't see any sign as to where they're from. Unless it's around the border. It's an interesting idea. But considering I'm almost seeing double, that's not going to work well. But no, I don't see that marker at all. Matter of fact, the one annoyance is I also don't see a joker. Ah, there's the joker. See, that's the joker. Now, I'm looking at the edge of it, and I do not see any indication of a printing place. But you start off, you pull it, and you look at the back of it, not at the front of it, and don't sit in front of a reflective surface. Decide if it's black or if it's red. Then turn it around. If it is black, if you said black and it is black, it goes in the correct pile. If you were mistaken, it goes in the other pile. Okay. Now, what you're looking for is a 75% split. In other words, either 75% right or 75% wrong. Either way, you're tapping into the right energy. Once you're up to the point where you get that, because standard averages are just going to leave you with a 50-50 split. When you get 75, change it a little. Instead of just going for the suit or for the color, go for the actual suit. Now you're up to four different possibilities. You do the exact same thing, working towards getting that 75% right. Okay, when you hit consistently 75% correct, go after the actual you go after the actual number and the suit. Okay, and this just makes it that much more complicated. When you're up to the point where you can pick the number and the suit 75% of the time, maybe well worth looking into Vegas. Okay, no, probably wouldn't, because that's still going to cost you a fortune. But let's see if I can get some of this moved around here. First and foremost, take a look at this. Ken, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, whatever tool you're using to work with, okay, and this is a very important little factor. Let's not hurt myself. Okay. Doesn't matter what tool you're working with, whether it's crystals, whether it's numerology, astrology, doesn't matter if it's modern medicine. No matter what the venue you're looking at, maybe you're following a religious venue or a spiritual path. Never, ever, ever focus solely on the negative. If you're only seeing negative, you're looking at things backwards. Okay? Because every single event, even when we look at this, you pick up the eight and the eight of spades. Now, the eight of spades is very similar in configuration to the eight of wands. Okay? Meaning, it may mean travel, but travel doesn't mean that it's negative or positive. Okay? It means you got travel coming up. Okay, and here's the neat little thing. Let me show you something here. Okay. Grab this. This is your ephemeris. Okay. Now, way too many people I know of will take a look in their ephemeris. I'm not even going to look at today. I'm just opening to a random page. As it turns out, the page happens to be September 2032. Okay. Now, if I look at September 2032, and I look at the fact that the sun is in Virgo, with the sun in Virgo and the Mercury in Virgo as well, okay, this would indicate that attention to detail is absolutely necessary at this point. But the kicker is this. If you look at that, now that's in Virgo, so we take a look. Where are we sitting here? Let us see. we're going to go over and we're going to take a look at what do we got? Virgo is sitting there. Virgo sitting there, and Capricorn or Aquarius is sitting there. See, this would indicate, I'm just looking at it. Of course, I'm drawing a blank, which really annoys the heck out of me. At least down here. Nope, that's the wrong sheet. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it. Okay, what do we got? Aries is what I want to look at. Let's go back to September 2032, just because that's where we were. Okay. I go back to September of 2032, which is down the ways a bit. Okay. But if we're looking at Virgo sitting there, we're going to want to be looking at Aries. Or more to the point, what's in Aries. 2027, 2029, 20. There we go. We are looking at March. I was looking at January 2032. Yes. That's September 2031. Okay. That's Capricorn. That is not what I was looking at. Okay, let's start that over and just pick a different day. So I'm looking here at September of 2052. Now, if you look, the sun is in Scorpio, is in Virgo. Okay, now the funny thing there is if the sun is in Virgo, then Earth, which most people totally ignore, is on the other side in Aries. Okay. Now, you take a look at the sun in Virgo, you're looking at attention to detail to start with. And we've got, of course, Mercury in Virgo as well, which sounds like because they're both running forward, this sounds like it's going to be working very well. Communication lines ought to run very nicely. But we go over here, and do we got anything sitting in Scorpio at this point? No. But we do have, with Pluto sitting over in Pisces, we now have a quincunx connection that you could look at that and go, it's going to scramble communication lines. Now, if you buy into that negative side, you're going to start telling people that this is a lousy time to do any negotiation because of the fact that quincunx is going to scramble the whole idea. But you got to remember, if you look at the negative, yes, it can make things complicated. But an unexpected turn of events, which is what that quincunx can do, can make a negotiation go absolutely in your favor in a heartbeat. This is why you never look at just the negative side of something. Okay? Again, we're told that if you're like in my case, I'm Taurian. Therefore, my sun sign, I should never get along with a Scorpio. Okay? Reality is, once you know what you're dealing with, they're not that hard to deal with. But it's absolutely imperative that you find the positive side of things while you're at it. Okay. That's just one of those things we have to look at. I'm looking at this now. Put those paints back where they belong. More to the point, put them back where I can maneuver with them. Okay. Those are just figures. What the heck did I do with it? I think that's, yeah. So we take these guys. put them back where they belong. Clearly, I didn't get finished with them, but that's okay. Where are we? We really are at the tail end here. But that's not a big problem in my eyes. But always take a look at the positive and the negative. I'm just going to get you one more thing here. Nope, that is not what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. But I really do want to thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate you sharing your time. You know, we're hitting the 2-hour mark here at this point. And therefore, just a quick reminder, if you didn't do it already, if you do like the stream, do subscribe, do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. I will be back again tomorrow. Okay, I should be doing, I'm hoping to do a couple of shorter, of, what do you call them? Of shorter videos tonight. Okay, but it sort of depends on how energy holds. But I'm just picking up some of these figures I've got. Some of them have been just abs, and they've been earmarked. And I'll tell you, by realizing that selenium is, what is that? I believe it's selenite. Realizing that it is the right size will make the visualization of working with that tower so much more effective. Okay, now with that in mind, bearing in mind we're hitting 2 hours, I'm going to call it a night. Tomorrow is, I don't even have a topic for tomorrow, so I will take a look at that. But, you know, with that in mind, I am going to close things down here. And I will be back again. But until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.